Welcome back to Gamer Sanctuary, Fresh Coast Gaming fans. It's Wednesday night, week 2 of the Intrusion at Ora Recentes campaign. We have 3 tables with some Planetstrike games going on here as the Alien Raiders have officially decided to attack the planet. Today, though, I'm going to focus on our 4th table over here. This is the special mission for this week. This is an ambush. The Imperial players are trying to ferry a supply convoy across the table, and some Dark Eldar Raiders are going to try to intercept its cargo. So I'm going to actually videotape this. I believe Mike's got his camera out. He's going to be taping his game with Adam, Tyranids and Blood Angels, fighting over the Fortress of Redemption. Joe and Will got some Eldar and other Space Marines doing a Planetstrike here. Then Mike and Jeremy are playing the final Planetstrike up there in that game. So let's take a look and see what we've got here on the special mission table and follow this game along for the rest of the night. All right, the guys are already well ahead of me. They've already got the entire table deployed. This is the Imperial convoy. We're going to start up here in front. We have a Land Speeder Storm with some scouts in it. Razorback with a 5-man tactical squad. Land Raider Crusader with a Chapter Master and Honor Guard in there. Joe is using his Detachment Commander today for the battle. Attack Bike with Multi-Melta, Predator with Autocannon and Las Cannons, and a Land Speeder with Missile Launchers and Heavy Bolters. Now you notice Mike's Mantis Warrior Rhino chassis are standing in for the Teamsters for this game. 3 of them contain special objectives that the guys can capture, and they will be able to get some benefit throughout the campaign for holding on to it. Only 3 of them contain them. In addition, the Rhinos have been beefed up. They're AV-13 in the front. They have no weapons and no transport capacity. The only thing they have in them are their cargo. So only 3 actually have the cargo in it. Imperial objective. Oh, let me show you the reserves first of all. Imperial reserves have a Storm Raven and a Storm Talon. The Storm Raven is lit up by lights from Power Play Gaming. Thanks again for the kits, the donation for Food Hammer. And the Storm Talon is going to be escorting it. Anyway, the Imperial mission is to get those Rhinos into the Dark Eldar deployment zone. Excuse me, they don't have to get them off the table, just into that 12-inch strip right there. If they do, they will be able to capture those objectives for future games. The Dark Eldar's mission is just to stop them and hold those objectives here. If the objectives are knocked out of the Rhino, they're treated just like the Relic. They can be picked up and moved. As part of the special rules for this mission, the Detachment Commander, if you use your Detachment Commander in it, he can pick up the Relic and move it by himself freely. So if you had a Chapter Master with a jump pack, he could jump with the Relic in this game, just because we're trying to tell stories and we like characters who are total badasses. So we're going to move over and take a look at what Pete's bringing for his Dark Eldar. Alright, we had a little confusion as to how many units the Xenos player could start on the table. For this mission, we're saying that they have to have at least half of their army in reserve. But when they come in, they can actually come in from any table edge, as if they had outflank. They're going to roll for that to see what edge they come in on. If the unit actually does have outflank, they would get to choose, but I don't think anything in Pete's army does. Just run down the list real quick. We have a pair of Ravagers right here with Dark Lances. This is actually going to be a Raider with squad of warriors in it. We have another Raider with their warriors chilling right here, and another Raider with a squad of Troopborn with blasters sitting right there. Where's your Archon? Is he on the table or is he in reserve?
He's on the table.
Which one is he in?
He's going to be in
He's going to be in the white one. All right. Moving over to the reserves, we have 3 more Raiders. These 2 have warriors, and that one has another squad of Troopborn with blasters, and then there's a squad of the Reaver jet bikes. So the Dark Eldar need to simply hold the objectives, and the Marines need to try to get him off the table. He needs to grab him and hold him, and the Marines need to get him off, or get him into that zone. And again, the purpose of this mission is to allow upgrades and different things later on in the campaign. There might be a vortex grenade being transported in one of there that if the Imperial players manage to hold on to, they'll get to use in a future mission. Same thing with the Dark Eldar. If they grab it, the Xenos are going to have a vortex grenade that they can deploy somewhere in the rest of the campaign. But in this game, because they are springing an ambush, the Xenos players go first. It is night fighting, so that might help mitigate some of that firepower coming in. Reserves are going to be treated as normal, and we will get started. So we'll tune back in after the top of 1. All right, after the top of turn 1, the Dark Eldar advanced. Most of the Raiders all just screamed across the table, turbo boosting to get right in the face of the Space Marines, looking like they're trying to just slow them down with bodies. It might be a really good tactic. Meanwhile, the Ravagers opened fire on the Land Raider and blew it up with a couple of good Dark Lance shots. Everyone inside is okay, though. Did the other Ravager do anything?
Shot at the Predator, hit it once, and failed to pen.
Failed to pen the Predator. Okay, so that's it. We're going to move into the Space Marines turn 1 and see if they can't get things moving a little bit. Yep.
One more thing before I got to see if these guys can run.
Oh, if you want to try to run them? Okay, go ahead and run them, and then we'll be done. All right, moving into the bottom of 1. All right, Joe is a really clever player. He thinks of things that nobody else does. So when I come up with this kind of scenario and I say, all right, you've got armor 13 vehicles, Joe's first instinct is, that means I got armor 13 tanks to ram stuff with. So because they don't have guns, he just went full tilt and smashed that Rhino into that Ravager, blew off a weapon. That Rhino over there, smashed that one, stunned it, took off a hull point. Some more shooting, removed another from it as well. The Chapter Master dropped his orbital bombardment on the Ravager after the Predator lit it up with the searchlight. But between the orbital bombardment, the missiles from the land speeder back there, heavy bolters here, the Predator itself, tons of stuff. Oh, the multi-melt on the attack bike. Pete made all of his cover saves with that Raider, or the Ravager, so it's still going. And yeah, that could have been a much better turn for the Imperial. All right, we're going to move into turn 2. Pete's going to roll from reserves, see if he gets anybody coming in on the flanks, and try to pop some Rhinos. Top of turn 2, the Dark Eldar managed to get almost all their forces on from reserves with good reserve rolling. The Archon is the only person not on the table, which yeah, it's not bad for this mission, especially considering he's your detachment commander, right? Yeah, so if he were on the table, Pete would get to re-roll his failed reserve rolls, but it doesn't matter because everything else he has is on the table. So I guess that's all right for him. But we see Raiders and Ravagers still scattered all over the place. Most of his stuff actually I think came on from the main table edge. A few things outflanked. This guy, for example, outflanked over here and stuck a Dark Lance up the tailpipe with that Rhino right there, which dropped its cargo. That is Objective B. I'm not going to tell you what Objective B is until the end of the game. Over here, the Predator lost 2 hull points and is stunned, you said? It is stunned. And in the resulting explosion from that Rhino, too, I forgot to mention, the company champion actually was killed in the blast. Failed to look out, sir, and then rolled a 1 on his armor safe. So I think that kind of is epitomizing the way Joe's dice have been treating him so far today. Yeah, it seems like it. So we're going to go into Space Marine turn 2 and see if that flyer and its escort can come in and try to clear the road for these tanks to get moving. Bottom of turn 2. First of all, reserves do not come in, so Joe's flyers are still just chilling, waiting for their right time. The Chapter Master jumps back here, grabs the relic, and because he is the detachment commander, he has special abilities when he's holding one of the objectives, including the ability to move it at completely normal. So he can run with it, he can assault with it, everything you normally can't do when you have the relic, he can do. So he actually picked it up and shoved it back into the other Rhino over here to continue transporting it on its way in safety, which is a smart move. These tactical Marines jumped out and glanced the Raider here to death with bolter rounds. This one is immobilized on the bridge. I guess that would be from the scouts that are underneath it.
Combat scouts.
The multi-melted bike over here stunned that one. That one is also stunned, right?
No, didn't do anything.
That one didn't. No, that's from last turn. I'm sorry. That one is immobilized though. So the Raider sitting out there in the corner is doing nothing thanks to a good crack missile shot from the land speeder over here. We're going to move into turn 3 and see if the Archon decides to show up. Oh, he is. All right, so they already rolled. Archon's coming on, and then we'll see if the Dark Eldar can continue to clog the middle of this board up. Dark Eldar turn 3. Archon did finally show up. Where did he go?
He's in.
Oh, he jumped down in there. Over here we've got no Predator, as you can see. I believe it took some shots from the Raiders and failed to kill it. But the Heat Lances from the jet bikes, they moved up to right there, shot it, and then did their jet bike move back here. They finally blew it up. That Rhino, is that down to a single hull point, or
No,
it's taken? It's taken 1 hull point. And the Raider that was right there, that was immobilized on the bridge, was wrecked by the scouts in close combat with their grenades because they were still in base contact with it. So they managed to clear a path. That land speeder was knocked down with lost some hull points maybe to the blasters in the Trueborn here, but finished off by the blasters in the warrior squad here. And that's it for top of turn 3. We're going to go to bottom of 3, see if Joe's flyer comes on, and if that rhino can get across the bridge safely. Thanks to the scouts blowing up the raider in the middle of the bridge, it cleared a hole, and Joe is he's just playing running back and following his blockers. He's got 2 rhinos that are now on this half of the table, and he's only got to get them a little bit further to actually to score them. He has to get to within the Dark Eldar deployment zone to actually score them. So those are getting pretty close. This one's a little further behind, but that's a big hole he opened up. The scouts also managed to take out a couple of the Dark Eldar here. Focus fired on the guys outside of the woods and killed 2 of them, including one with a blaster. Multi-Melta blew up that raider over here. And that raider over there lost its Dark Lance to some crack missile shots from the land speeder. Only other news that happened, this rhino failed to do any damage on that. Is that another raider? Okay.
That's a raider.
Failed to damage the raider with a ram attack, and the company, the honor guard, just tried to shuffle around a little bit, but they're stuck in some difficult terrain, so they're kind of slowed down. Going to move now into turn 4. All right, Pete's tactic of trying to block the rhinos is still working, kind of. This raider, which has no Dark Lance, jumped over the piece of terrain and is blocking the advance of the rhino. He tried to shoot it to wreck it, but only took off a hull point with a glance. The land speeder over here got shot by a Dark Lance from that raider over there. It was just barely in range, but he made his jinx save.
They did run.
2 of the scouts were killed by all the warriors here in the woods. The jet bikes did some jumping around stuff, and I think that rhino, where'd it go? That rhino right there was blown up. Yep, by the jet bikes. So, but it was empty. So with only 3 rhinos left on the table, it's pretty obvious where the objectives are. We're going to move now into the Marines' turn 4 and see if they can't get some of them into the scoring zone to actually capture them. Remember, in this game, all they have to do is get them into the scoring zone. After that, he can get them. Joe can take them off the table if he'd like, but they count as having scored. So the Imperium would get whatever the cargo for that particular tank is if they just get into the deployment zone. Oh yeah, and Joe finally did get his flying escorts in, so they're going to come in and try to clear the road again. All right, Imperial turn 4. You see that there's only 2 rhinos left. That's because the rhino that was immediately behind the raider here rammed straight through it, blew it up, was able to continue his move, and went flat out and got off the table. So that is one objective for the Imperium. We'll find out what they actually managed to rescue after the game. These 2 are right here. This one tried to tank shock the troops here, and they just moved out of the way. And then some heavy bolters from the Razorback were shot in here, and I think heavy bolters from the speeder too. No, I'm sorry.
No, that speeder went flat out.
That one went flat out. Oh yeah, that's right, because he was way back there. Anyway, the point is, these guys managed to lose a couple guys. They are pinned and went to ground. Between the multi-melta bike and the Storm Raven, they took out the Raider here. And that's about it. Everything else kind of shuffled around. So the Dark Eldar are going to go into turn 5 and see if they can't stop those rhinos in some way. Top of turn 5, the Dark Eldar concentrated all their fire on trying to stop the rhinos. They blew one up, but the scouts managed to actually grab the objective. So they are still holding it. They need to get it off the table still, though. So they got to go through all those Dark Eldar to do it. And the Marines are going to try to do what they can. They've already started the bottom of turn 5, so I'm going to let them finish up and then take a shot. All right, the game's going to end right here in the bottom of turn 5. It is after 10 o'clock. The Gamer Sanctuary is graciously letting us at least play out turn 5. The biggest thing that happened is that Joe tried to tank shock into the jet bikes to push them out of the way and get that rhino off the table and clear a hole for these scouts. Unfortunately, the heat lances stuck in this unit managed to stun it, and a stunned vehicle can't move, so therefore it's unable to finish its movement. That means that these 2 objectives are still on the table, but they are not being possessed by the Dark Eldar. So the Dark Eldar players don't have any objectives. The Imperium managed to get 1 off the table, So they actually officially win the game. Now, as far as objectives, as far as the special bonuses that they're going to get from the secret objectives from actually getting them off the table, I have them labeled A, B, and C. They managed to get A off. A stands for Astropath. The Imperial players are now allowed to bring allies, and they can use that Astropath to call for help. So they may now bring allies to their future games. I will put in the comments what B and C were, because I don't want these guys to get mad at me. So anyway, thanks again for tuning in. The total results for the day, Imperial won the secret mission. They also won one of the Planetstrike missions. Jeremy managed to hold off his table, but the Tyranids and the Eldar managed to sweep away their competition on there. So it's actually it's a draw this week between Xenos and Imperial, which is great, because next week I'd already planned to have some kind of open warfare between the two, and this way now neither side has an advantage. It's going to be straight rolls to see who's going first. I'm kind of happy about that. But tune in next week, in 2 weeks, and you'll see what the missions are for everyone then. Thanks again for watching.